I went from not being able to save anything 1 year to saving 100 grand in a year, flip over like that. So as a business owner in any space, invest back in your staff. Everybody wants to make fast money. Fast money goes away fast. You know, if you had 100 grand in this account, it would have made you 10 grand in interest, and you could have taken that interest to pay for your kid's school. Let your money work for you, right? Comparison is a thief of joy. And that's one thing I've learned for myself personally, that you cannot compare yourself to somebody else's success. And you have to celebrate your buddy's success. You have to be there for them, but also don't think you're invaluable because that your time has not come, right? But reality of it is, even if your bank account doesn't reflect that, it's crazy. I got this really crazy story personally for myself. I went from not being able to save anything 1 year to saving 100 grand in a year, flip over like that. Why? Because when you build your business, that shit happens.
Yeah,
that happens. You go from nothing to something because you've been building things out like
for
crazy.
so long.
For so long,
yeah.
It just clicks.
It just compounds.
And then a normal person won't be able to understand that but then again, they haven't put themselves in that grit that you put into mental, physical, relationship exhaustion. So, you paid a high price for that,
Yeah.
So you deserve it. And then you get there faster and faster, right? As you keep on scaling up, that happens, right? So invest back in your business, but not invest into the shiny toys, right? Invest into the right people, right? That you could trust, pay them well, have them here happy, right? So as a business owner in any space, invest back in your staff, right? Have them be there so you could pull back and then focus on the big picture stuff, right? So as business owners, a lot of times, if I meet a good person like yourself and I see the trajectory, and I've been doing this a long time now, I can see people's trajectory. I'm like, this person's gonna go somewhere. Let's be with them, right? Let's be with them because I believe in them, right? Just like we believe in you, and everybody sees that now. It's like, I wanna find a diamond in the rough, and that's been my knack, is finding diamonds in the rough.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is that time will come, right? So business owners, develop back into your business, hire good staff that you could be there so you can focus on the rainmaking stuff, finding the deals, and then you're gonna get better at running your business too. And then as you start to make money, then get in the habits of saying, let me parcel off a little bit of money on the sidelines here, right? I'm gonna keep on reinvesting back in my business, but I wanna have my little get out of jail card here. 10, 20% money on the sidelines. It's like everybody wants to become a millionaire and hit a big splash, but it's like doing the right thing for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Have your money grind too, like you're grinding. Like your money actually has to grind. If you're gonna start from scratch, your money needs to grind. So that's a big thing. It's like everybody wants to make fast money. Fast money goes away fast. But your money to be long-term for yourself, it's gotta grind with you. And as you have those pops, man, there's a lot of cool things that start to happen. But just like yourself, your money's gotta grind if you're self-made. And that's why I love working with business owners that got into space. Because,
self-made.
Yeah, because I didn't grow up with much. A lot of people didn't grow up with much, right? So you know what? Unfortunately, we all have that sob story, right? Like we all have a sad story, but that's awesome. That's fuel to your fire. At this point, we've got kids. What kind of sob story are they going to have? But to build in grit for them, they're not going to have that same sob story we have. Hopefully, they don't, right? Yeah. But how do we make them grit and fight for their stuff, right? Because you need grit to grow. Like, how are you be motivated, right? Like. Yeah. So, for me, I needed that grit and I needed that pressure of family to make sure that I got my decisions right. But that was scary a lot of times. But I think that's common with a lot of folks that are growing. So, I got into the space because I love aligning with people. We have the same mindset, and you were alluding to this before. It's like, what sets you apart from other financial planners, advisors? There's a dime a dozen, and there's a lot of us out there, guys. Yeah. Way better looking, thinner, better suits, all that good stuff, taller. But I think the big thing is that being in a low end in life and then starting to work your way up by yourself, but having a good tribe around you. For me, I could always appreciate somebody's journey and would never care more about your money than yourself, right? Yeah. So like I tell people, a lot of your friends are going to be envious of your success because they're hating on you in some degree. They want you to be successful, not more successful than them. Yeah. Right. So they're gonna give you enough advice, but not to get beyond them. Yeah. That's For me, as an advisor, I have a vested interest. We get like 1% of money we manage from people, right? Yeah. So I want you to be as rich as possible. So I tell people, I'm like, I want to make sure that you become the richest version of yourself possible, and if we can help facilitate that through introducing you to good relationships, getting you deals, helping your money grow, like all that stuff. Like I want you to be wildly successful. How do I make my money work for me? How do I scale? So there's a lot of different things you could do, right? So I think first and foremost, as any business, you have to revisit your lines of credit, right? We've talked about that in the past, right?
You helped us with that.
So have lines of credit, right? And revisit that, get those expanded, because a lot of times I'd rather you have a line of credit with low interest rate help you pay for an age receivable that's coming in next week versus your cash that can be reinvested elsewhere and make more, right? So kind of think about this, right? The stock market, the S&P's average 8% growth over decades, right? You're gonna earn 8% of your money, but you can borrow money at 3%. borrow that, make the difference, right?
Yeah.
Right. So that's just a little tool, right? And that borrowing rate, you're getting a tax deduction for it too. And as a business owner, you need to maximize those things, right? So for a lot of folks, we start saying, as you have cash on the sidelines, don't be an old school Mexican, right? Don't have your money under the mattress.
Don't be like my dad. Dude,
Right, yeah.
I found this in the sock, under the mattress, and behind the picture frame, within the picture frame. I'm like, Bob, what the hell are you? What? I don't trust them. Like,
Yeah.
You don't trust
I don't
who?
trust this-
El
yeah.
Banco. I'm like, all right, shit.
But like that's old school mentality, right? But life's getting more expensive. We call that inflation. So your money has got to keep up with it, right? So don't keep it under the mattress first and foremost, right? Keep your emergency fund there. 6 months of your living expenses on the personal side, maybe even a year's worth of expenses on the business side. But once you're at that point, have your cash start growing for you, right? So one of the cool things that I had a client do, and I like using round numbers for examples, right? So he had $100,000. He had like $300,000 in the bank. This guy's doing really awesome for himself, and he doesn't want to send his kids to private school. He's like, it's too expensive. And I'm like, how much is private school? He's got 2 kids. He's like, it's going to cost me $10,000. And it's like, okay, well, $10,000 to send your kids to private school. If you had $100,000 in this account, it would have made you $10,000 in interest, and you could have taken that interest to pay for your kids' school. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, bro. Like, let your money work for you, right? Yeah. And now you could send your kids to school and not worry about that. Like, he's like, oh shit, yeah, like I should do that, right? Yeah. So it's like little things like that. It's like working smarter, not harder, right? But it took him to get a while to get to that point, right?
But I was going to say that point right there too, guys, is it took a while. Like,
yes.
I don't want anybody to tune in and hear it. These guys are talking like, yeah, it's easy to say when you have the money to do, but it took
takes
time.
It
to
could
get
take
there.
decades to get to you at first 100.
But that's what's possible. Is
exactly
you could send your kids, like me right now, 3 years old, Nico. I've got about 10 years before he could go to private school, junior high, right, or high school, or then private school, and then college comes up. Like that's in 10 years already.
That's
so
not that far away.
I've got to do it now.